Hello and welcome back to BlueTube, and because it's the international break we thought we'd just do a quick catch up for you guys, all things Birmingham City, except today it's a bit of a special edition. I've had my uncle and the other side of BlueTube's brother come over from Australia to pay a visit, and he's back and he's here with us today. Do you want to say hello? This is Russell. How are you?
How you doing, guys? Nice to be here.
And yeah, obviously a big blue nose as well, but he was that disenamoured with what had been going on over the last few years. He went as far away from it as you could.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's nice because I get, look at this, he brought me this for my birthday last week, Western Australia Blues. So if there's anyone from Australia, we know there's a couple of people that look in on us from Oz, so it'd be nice, drop us a comment and tell us where you are.
Yeah.
You're in Perth, you say, yeah?
Just south of Perth. And there's a big group over there that I'm part of, the Oski group. I'm a member of that. So we go and watch games when we can. It's difficult with me working shifts. So
you have to get up at early hours of the morning to watch some of the games, don't you?
Yeah. If I can get up, some of them are like 3:45 in the morning. It's just not feasible. But yeah, if I can watch the games, especially the sort of ones that are, I think it's 11 o'clock now. They were at 10 o'clock when it was 7 hours. It's 8 hours now. So when they're 10, 11 o'clock, it's not a bad time because you can have a drink, beer or whatever at home. If you've been at work and you've got the next day off, or you're on nights the next day, you can make the most of it. But yeah, I watch as much as I can and keep tracking the progress. Yeah, watching your videos and the groups. I've come off Twitter because that does my head in.
I think a few people will share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, but the Facebook groups I keep in touch with, and just keeping involved as much as you can. But it's hard.
No, it is. It's hard being a Blues fan.
Well, we've got a few watchers from Australia, so you'll have to let us know if you've seen Russell down the shops or anything. Just put it in the comments.
Or I've been to you on an ambulance.
Yeah, Russ is a paramedic over in Oz, so like you might well see him if you're over there. Hopefully you won't.
Yeah.
But obviously you must have been a bit excited about coming back because we'd had 2 4-0 wins, and your first game back was the Middlesbrough game. So
yeah, it was great.
Didn't quite go to plan, did it?
Yeah, I brought all the luck back.
I think we've worked out the fact that it's because Russ has left the country that Blues have picked up.
Yeah.
So hurry up and get back then.
Yeah. And I planned my trip really well because basically I was here for the Middlesbrough game, and then I go home on the day of the Norwich game, is it?
Yeah, that's the next home game, isn't it?
And then we've got the international break, so it was great timing.
Yeah, well
but yeah, I've got annual leave rotated in, so it was literally you've got annual leave in this few weeks, and that's it. So it was the only time I could come.
Well, we didn't do a post-match on the Middlesbrough game. Do we want to give our thoughts quickly on that game and how that panned out?
Probably just as well we didn't, because at the time I was watching it with Russ, and I was just going back to the old Blues fan in me that was, and I was criticising everything, but I think it wasn't the bad game that I initially thought it was. I think that a lot was bearing on what happened to Paik at the start, to be honest with you. But the worry is we need to recover from things like that. Look at the Cov game where Dux got injured in the warm-up. It sort of made us fall apart. We just didn't turn up. And it seemed a little bit like that. We had no midfield against Middlesbrough. No. And much as I love to see Leonard come in, and this was an opportunity for him to really step up and say, look at me, I'm here. But he sort of filtered into the background a little bit. And I really wanted him to take that game by the scruff of his neck. That was a good opportunity, wasn't it?
I think you've got to... We get caught up in we expect them to play well every game. And I think for me, the frustrating thing is that, like you say, Leonard didn't have a great game. And that can happen. The frustrating thing for me was that Middlesbrough weren't great. If we'd have gone there and Middlesbrough had been like Cov, and you'd think these are decent, these are a good side. And for me, it was like, well, actually, we could beat these, but we just didn't.
Well, I said to you, first goal will win this game, and then to concede. I mean,
were we lucky? 2 poor goals.
Two poor goals,
yeah.
But and right on half time is the literally worst time to concede in any part of the game, apart from like last minute of the whole game.
Stick a leg out.
Yeah, and I just thought we looked unusually shaky at the back. It was almost like that disruption at the start of the game had just gone right the way through us and rocked us, and it took us so long to get back into it. But that said, I don't want to be like the negative Nelly.
We were just tired, weren't we? You said before we started.
I watched Stansfield after a few games this season. There was one game, I can't remember which game it was, and I remember thinking, he looks knackered. And we're literally a few games into the season. And the other day, I thought, again, he looked tired. And at that point, you think, well, do you know what? Just put Kyogo in from the start and give Stansfield a break and bring him on with half an hour. Rotate that team, because for me, if they're looking leggy, I know they've had a couple of games in a row, but we've had loads of international breaks. It's not like we've been pummeled for games all season. I think the main issue is the defence didn't have a midfield to cover them. They were walking into so much space in front of the defence, and that gave them so much pressure. But at the same point, they didn't play well either. So there's a multitude of things going on.
But it's good now. We have got a bit of a break. I'd love to have gone into the break with maybe even a point from that game would have been brilliant. And I'd have expected a point. I think Davis wasn't far wrong in how he summed it up. Yeah, we probably had more chances than them and that, but it's all right having all the chances and having a bit of possession, although the possession was pretty even. And we haven't got any stats for this today, have we, Ben?
No. It's not
it's one that it should have been at least a point for us, but it was about how we went about it, really. Yeah, there was loads of opportunities, but again, it's just not taking
the common theme, isn't it? You know, we can't. It's one of them things where you hear this. I'm not saying it's an excuse from Davis, and I've criticised him recently, and he won me back over the two games where we won quite convincingly. Because I do think he's a good manager, but I think he's learning. But it's that he can't keep saying the same things, and us as fans going, oh yeah, that's fair enough, yeah, you're right there. Because it's like, okay, this is being said every other game, and I'm hoping in January we can rectify the striker situation, because I know Kyogo, we need him to come good, and I think he possibly will. I've got confidence there.
As soon as he starts, he puts a ball in the net. I think that'll be him.
He needs games, though. He needs the minutes. You can't bring him on with 25 minutes to go. And
I think he needs to start games, doesn't he? But rest Stansfield. I mean, be interesting to see what happens. But we should be fully rested now. We should be having the injuries back. We've got Willemsen coming back. Wright's in the mix coming back. Buchanan's back in training now, isn't he? What was this?
We've not heard anything about Payne, have we?
Anything from Payne?
I've not heard anything.
Well,
there's a wide spectrum.
Do we know that it was a dislocated shoulder? Because I hadn't even seen that yet.
Yeah, I think so. It popped out. Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, so that could be a good thing.
Sure we had that actually confirmed.
It depends on if there's been any damage to, as a result of that happening, how long it was out for, and whether there's any entrapments and something. Exactly. So that could be short term, but it could be long term as well. So we need to know. That's the only thing with Blues at the moment. You never know what's going on with the injuries, do we?
Well, let's just get into it then. So just to round off then, I want to give you guys just this. We've played 15 games so far. We've won 6, we've drawn 3, and we've lost 6 on 21 points. Middle of the table, 11th. How would you guys say the season's gone so far?
Well, for me, realistically, you know how I felt at the beginning of the season. We were going to storm it. We're going to go up as champions. Like just being positive, just putting it out there. And I think realistically, we should be happy with what we've done. Really, there's two. It's sort of two pronged, isn't it? Because of how well it went last year, and it built our hopes up. It's a new era. We're spending money, although we didn't spend as much as what people think we did in this close season. I think as long as there's progression now, and we've got the weight of the championship now. Still don't think there's a team to fear. But we know who, like the cream's sort of rising to the top. Cov, I can't see them being beaten at the moment.
No, Cov are ridiculous.
But going back to that game as one of the sort of highlights of the season so far, I do think that it was a lot about how we set up and losing a player on the warm-up in that game as well. I don't think Cov were that all over us. I think it was more about how poor we played, and Cov are a team.
We had a red card as well.
There was that. Wrong. But Cov are a team that give Cov 2 chances in the game, they'll probably take them. But they just happen to be creating 15, 20 chances.
Or as Ania Luca would say, give them 2 chances and score 3.
Yeah.
But what about you then, Russ?
You'll do well in this game, son. You'll do well.
For me, I didn't expect us to be as good as the hype, because I knew it was going to be a bigger challenge, and you've got the Prem teams coming down, and you just don't know how good they're going to be. You can have 3 teams come down that just run away with the top 3 spots, and everyone else is scrapping for the rest of the playoff spaces. That happens a lot, that bounce back from the champ straight up again, and they've got the money. But for me, the frustration that I've had is, I think we've done all right. I think we started off really poor. We started off good in the first game or so, and then we went poor for a good few games. I think the Americans and the gaffer, we say that Chris Davis is still learning. I think the Americans are still learning as owners of a club.
They've admitted that themselves on telly.
And yeah, they have done. I think for me, they should have been quietly confident instead of very sort of social media and outwardly confident. And what happened there was the expectation from everyone, not just us fans, every other team, every other set of fans, all the media outlets were then thinking, Birmingham, we're going to smash the league. I don't want us to be going out like that. I want us to just go about our business quietly and just start being really
agree totally with that. We have been, and it is the American way. Isn't it? It's just throw it all out there.
Drama.
This is us. Watch us. We're the people to watch.
Can you imagine if we hadn't have said anything and we'd have gone, we just want a nice steady. We've come up. We want a nice steady championship season, and we're going to build on that. And then at this point we're mid-table. Everyone would have gone, well, they're doing exactly what they said. And if we're higher than that, they go, well, actually, we're doing really well.
Created a rod for our own back.
But then you've got to talk about ambition, then, and what's the point? Surely you've got to be ambitious, haven't you? But just to play devil's advocate.
Quietly confident. I think quietly confident wins most races, so to speak, because if you're better than you've said you're going to be, everyone's like, well, they're doing really well. If you're doing exactly what you're saying and you're mid-table and you're steadying the ship and you're building, you're doing exactly what you said on the tin. Obviously, if you're doing really poor, then it's a different kettle of fish. But I think, ultimately, there's definitely going to be changes in January. I think there'll be players coming in. The other thing I was going to say as well is there was a lot of talk about a war chest and we didn't really see it. And this is my opinion. Some of the signings we made were almost a little bit old school Blues. It was almost like, well, we get Gray in because he's getting on a bit. But he's not getting on a bit, but he's been around the block a few times. And everyone thought that was a great signing, which he is. I think he is. But at the same point, we haven't really spent the mega bucks that everyone was expecting. We haven't brought someone in for 10 million, other than Kyogo, I suppose, which is rumoured to be a good few million. And then he ain't played. And the other thing I would say, I don't want to ramble too much.
No,
we've had a lot of these players come in that with high expectations, and ultimately, half of them haven't played. Newman.
It took Doyle a long time to get into the squad. To be fair,
if we go through him, Dutch, okay, he's had an injury, but he didn't play. But he did get injured again. But he wasn't playing at the start. When he was fit, he didn't seem to play. Then he came in and did a bit. Then he got injured. Fujimoto is obviously working his way up to fitness. Kyogo isn't getting games. He's had bits and pieces.
Hang on. Fujimoto, do you think it's a fitness thing?
Or
do you think he's just not...
I just don't know.
Style of play is not suited? We saw him against Port Vale. He was totally off the pace. Totally wrong game to bring him into.
Yeah.
And is that all he's going to get?
Well, that's my other point. I mean, it could be that he's just not hitting the level in training. But then you got your Dutch. So let's go through it. Doyle. You got Doyle, Dutch, or however you pronounce his name.
It is Dutch, isn't it?
Yeah. Kyogo, Fujimoto, Newman, because he came in.
Yeah.
Might have had a bad game. I can't remember now, but
Then
literally got sent to the sin bin forever. And then all of a sudden randomly comes back in.
Yeah, we were forced to play him again. And isn't that a good job? Sorry to cut you off.
Cashin's played, and all right, he's not had great games, but at the same point, we brought him in and he's not doing anything. You know what I mean? So you look at the signings we've made, and actually, for a decent part of the game so far, a lot of them haven't played, really. It's only until the last few games.
Well, they haven't been given the opportunity to actually build up momentum.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So how you basically... So pre-season, they've been going. Last season, the end of last season, we had. It might have just been rumours in the fans, but we had this war chest. Then we don't spend big money, really. I know there's wages and that you have to consider when you talk about money. And then you bring these players in, and everyone's going, yeah, but we've not spent a lot of money, but you've got to remember the wages, and that's fair enough. But then they don't play regular, and you're like, well, hold on a minute, why is Doyle playing? Why isn't so-and-so playing? Why are we not seeing these players? And we've lost players as well. And it's like, well, actually, it's a bit misshaped at the moment. And again, I genuinely think up until the last few weeks, Davis was struggling to realise his first 11 because it was just like so-and-so in, so-and-so out, so-and-so in. And it was like, when are we going to get to a point where we play 4 or 5 games in a row and we keep that same side and we might lose a couple of games like we did anyway, but at some point it clicks.
Yeah.
And I think we got to that at Millwall and as a team before, Portsmouth. And I know Middlesbrough was a poor game, but as I say, they look leggy, and that might just be tiredness or whatever. Hopefully, after the break now, if he plays the same team again and they've got their legs back, we should give Norwich a good game, I think. I'll be disappointed if we don't beat
I
Norwich.
dare say we're going to do some early predictions for the Norwich game.
We can do. I mean, I've got a separate video that I was going to put out for that,
Oh, okay.
going for our pre-match. But this goes on really well into my next question, considering what you've just been talking about there. Who have the standout performers been then for you, Per, so far this season? Who do you think's come in and done really well? Because you talk about new signings, and one that you didn't mention there, I think Patrick Roberts has been instrumental.
Oh, so yeah, I've totally
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he has played. He has played more.
He came in
games,
towards the
hasn't
tail end.
Yeah.
Deadline day,
he?
he came
He's a
in.
good player.
He's been brilliant for us.
But the only issue I have with that signing, not that signing, not an issue with him signing, we're signing these wingers, but we've got Stansfield and Kyogo up front in the beginning of the season, and it's like we're going to get the ball in the box, but
Yeah,
we've got the two smallest players on the pitch up there. And for me, we should have been more looking at how can we get that number 10 role working and feeding them balls in behind defence for the pace.
Yeah.
When you've got pacey strikers up front, but you're trying to get down the wings and cross it into the box, it's a bit. I don't know. I'm not a manager, so that's just my opinion. But you know, Stansfield is scoring goals still, and I think Kyogo will come good. If I answer your question, players that are doing well, Clara. I think Clara's
Rolls Royce of the centre back, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Doyle's coming good. Stansfield. We know Stansfield's a typical striker, isn't he? He could have a bad game and score, and that's if your striker does that all season, you ain't bothered. If the striker solely scores goals but goes missing for half a game, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If your centre half does that, it's a different kettle of fish. But it's weird how we've signed Beadle when we had in my opinion, an half decent goalkeeper, and it's a lone goalkeeper. So there must be. I'm thinking there's got to be a permanent potential there. Because would you disrupt your goalkeeper position if there's no option there?
That is my worry with Beadle between the sticks, being that he is a lone player. You're building him up ultimately for another club.
Yeah.
And I don't think, this is my personal opinion again, I don't think Ryan Alsop ever did enough to actually get himself demoted.
It was what was going on around the general team. He wasn't responsible for losing his position, I don't think.
I think it's more of a. I think when they bought Alsop, because they had him with Bradley.
Mayor? Is that
Peacock
what you're
Farrell.
talking about?
Peacock Farrell, who's at
Yeah.
Blackpool now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Doing
they
really well as
expected him to be the number one. He didn't work out. So Alsop, I think Alsop was probably brought in as like you'll play some games because ultimately
But that's
he was
an
the
unusual
older
thing
keeper.
because in the season after, in the Championship, Alsop was, on paper, the best keeper in the division, in the Championship.
Yeah.
And so for me, he was going to be that number one. But it confused me when we brought Peacock Farrell in.
Because he's
I
an
was like,
international as well, Peacock Farrell. So you'd expect him then to be the number one.
exactly.
wouldn't you?
So,
But he wasn't.
and then when we brought in Beadle this season, a lot of the main reporters around the Blues, like the Evening Mail lads, were nailed on that at some point Beadle was going to be your number one this season, and I felt a little bit disappointed because it was very much testing the waters by Beadle. He had to really grow into the position where Alsop was already ready to go. You know, like he knew the squad, he knew the setup. So I was a little bit disappointed, and still am, with the fact that we're not playing Alsop.
Do you know what the one criticism I'd have with Beadle, and the people have probably got more than this one, but he parries a lot. He parries a lot of shots that are straight at him. He parries a lot of corners and crosses. And we have conceded off them parries, and we've looked shaky because. If I was a centre half, I want my keeper to come out, and this is probably an old-fashioned type of keeper, and just claim that ball. I want the keeper to hold on to the ball as much as possible, and then start a move off quickly. Parrying could go anywhere.
I will say though, I think he's getting better.
He is getting better.
Oh, he has grown.
He is getting
but
better.
this is what I'm saying. He's had to grow into it.
Yeah.
He didn't come in because he's so much better than Alsop. That's why we're playing him. It was a case of he had to come in up to that level.
I think Alsop was.
true.
I think
I
Alsop
agree with that.
potentially, and I might be totally wrong here, but I wonder if Alsop was signed as the second goalkeeper, performed better than Bradley. I can never say his name.
Peacock Farrell. That's it.
He performed better than him, got the number one spot, but ultimately, again, they were like, look, we are going to look at bringing a younger keeper in the more long term, and we want you to be around the club, developing. And I think you'll probably see Alsop potentially stay on after
Like in a coaching
as a
role.
coaching role, yeah, because he's a Blues fan, he's from Birmingham.
Yeah.
He's a good goalkeeper, he's in his 30s now, he's not old by any stretch for a
Not for
goalkeeper.
a goalkeeper, no.
But I think he's probably looking at it thinking, I could stay here for years now and I could develop the younger keepers and get the odd game. I've won the league with them already. He is a bit of a legend in that sense.
Yeah.
We won the league, got a record amount of points, and he was a good good goalkeeper for us.
absolutely.
So he's not done anything. He won't, even if he's not playing now, he's still loved, isn't he?
Yeah,
And for someone, if I was a
it's like the
Blues fan
new
in
era.
a
It's part of
goalkeeper,
that new era of Blues as well.
if I was in my 30s as a Blues fan and I'm a goalkeeper and I'm playing for my club, and they go, look, you might play a few games here and there, the cup games, but we're going to keep you here for a good few years, and you might have a coaching role. If that's the case, I'd be well happy with that at that point. So, but yeah, it's just a bit of a strange one. I think Roberts again that you mentioned, he's done really well. Damari Gray, I think he's a good player. He fits and
Fits and starts, yeah.
But he scored some goals recently, and you can't argue with that. Other than that, I've got to be honest. The rest of them have been a little bit average. Watter's done well at right back, but it's strange how we've got about 30 right backs in the squad. And then the other day, realistically, he could have put Iwata into the middle and put Samuel
a few people said that,
on the right. And that would have kept a bit of pace in the team then as well. Because I think, as I say, Middlesbrough weren't great, and I think we were getting...
It was there for the taking, wasn't it? It was there for the taking.
It's a shoulda, woulda, coulda, isn't it? Hindsight's 2020.
The big one's Norwich, isn't it? If we play like we did against Middlesbrough against Norwich, and we're rubbish again, then people's heads are going to start turning again. Whereas if we go out and beat Norwich comfortably, it's 2 or 3-0, they might go, well, yeah, okay, we lost to Middlesbrough away, but we've won 3 out of 4, and we're flying. So I think the last few games, I know we lost against Middlesbrough and we lost against Bristol City, but we beat a couple of teams. We obviously won 2 games 4-0. I think, do you know what? It's not a bad last few games, and it's where I'd expect us to be.
What about you? Any stand-up performance? Do you agree with Ross?
Pretty much, yeah. Clara has been absolutely nailed on.
No one can argue with that.
No one can. And I think Neumann, he was a little bit shaky. He needed some settling in. New country, brought his family over here. He's still only a young guy himself. We can see the quality that he's got. He's not quite as quick as I thought he would be. I think there's been a couple of times when he's really been outpaced, like markedly so. So I think we need to cover that as well. And we were mentioning that's where your Lairds or your Bright would come in to cover that back line because the way we play football, we have to be really wary of that break from whoever we're playing because we put so much pressure on a team. We tend to sort of push forward where the back line's coming right up to the halfway line, and we are being caught on the break a lot. But Neumann, on the whole, I still think there's a lot more to come from him as well.
I agree.
And this forging of a partnership between Clara and Neumann is just getting better and better for me. Yes, it was a little bit shaky in the last game. I think we need to just put that down to a blip. I love how Roberts is playing. We already knew that he was called the mini Messi from Sunderland, and he's really showing that his delivery as well has been good. Keshi, I wanted to mention because there's been injuries involved. Now, last season, similar running, he's like a tank running at the back lines, and he was starting to get that delivery better. His delivery has sort of taken a back step again this year, so he's been a little bit colder for me, but you can still see.
Do you think so? I think Keshi's overtook Dimmy just a little bit for me. I'd be starting Keshi.
I would be starting him still. Dimmy, I don't want to say the word disappointing. I want to say more that there's more to come from him. Yeah, it takes a little bit of a while to warm into a game sometimes. Is he not being played in his preferred position somewhere? Is it not? Is it about adapting to the Davies style of football? Maybe. You can certainly see that he's got it. And I tell you what, he will fight for the Blues as well, won't he? So, he is a Blues fan.
More end product with Dimmy, I think. That's the only thing I'd say.
Those are the two players. The final delivery has been a little bit off par for me, whereas coming from the other side, Roberts has been really finding someone... like every time it looks dangerous from that side of thing. And I wanted to mention Cochrane as well because he had a slow start to the season, but recently with the assists that we've been getting off him from free kicks, corners, and during play, his left foot hook into the box has been brilliant. And that goal, speechless.
Well said.
Yeah, and I'll say it again. But I think I don't want to knock the two midfield lads, Paik and Iwata, although Iwata has been playing well at right back, it took him a bit of a time, and I'll totally back Russell up with that. When we've got like Samstead and you've got Bright on the bench, who has been a little bit off it for me, I think Bright needs to find a way of settling in quicker than he has done because he hasn't quite hit the mark. We haven't seen the pace. He'd rather play back at the moment. I want to see him going forward. That's what we're going for. He's like the 3rd fastest player in the league.
Yeah.
We want him to beat players, get crosses in. And he will be if he's playing at right back, he's our, like, get out of prison sort of card. when they do break, because no one else can keep up with
He's got a
anybody.
lot of potential. he has,
So I
Bright.
do want to see more from Bright.
Yeah.
But then there's the quandary when in January, hopefully, Laird comes fit again. Now, I think from that sort of injury, it's going to take him a little while to get back into it. So I can probably think that we'll be writing Laird off for the season.
I'm worried about Laird because I like Laird, but his
Yeah.
injury history is not
And
promising.
it's his hamstring that he struggles with.
Imagine
isn't it?
if you got promoted to the Prem, could you rely on Laird in a team that's going to struggle in the Prem? Because any team that goes up will struggle. Could you rely on him to
It's
be your
such a
regular
shame.
right back?
He's quality. He could
Yeah.
be Premier League standard.
Oh, he is,
there.
but it's his
But
injuries that
it's
cause-
his
he's got a glass ankle, I think, hasn't he?
Well, I was really looking forward to going off on a bit of a tangent, like I always do. When they were talking about this Tom Brady, like physio side of things and his sports science about the
I
injuries
know
and
what
stuff.
you're going to say, but there's only so much you can do.
No, I know, but it's just no different. Really,
We
is it?
went through a period.
Yeah,
though-
you're
Well,
not
you don't-
going to
you don't
stop
know.
those injuries. are you?
Maybe even would have had 2 more injuries had it not have been for what Brady.
Yeah,
So from
true.
the background, you don't know.
The issue the Blues had, and I think it was a recruitment policy back towards the end of the Chinese, start of the Americans coming in. I think we were looking at these players, like your lads, who were the half decent profile, like your Chongs, but maybe had a bit of an injury history, and we were taking gambles on players. And some of them will pay off and some of them won't. And I think we've kind of half seen that in the last 2 or 3 seasons. We've had players come in and they've done well, like Laird, but then they're out injured. And it's like, if you look at any decent side who wins a league, like you look at Cov now, they'll have a settled side more or less all the way through the season. You know what I mean? They won't have 3 right backs and play midfielder there. You know what I mean?
That's what I wanted to mention, because like we did take Iwata out of midfield and put him at right back, and I think he's done really well there, because if you look at like his positioning on the pitch during a game, he still covers the same sort of midfield area, and he was even got in on an assist against Portsmouth. He scored. And he was just everywhere from a right back position, and it allowed us to bring Doyle in, which I was really pleased to see, and that raised Pake's game for me.
Yeah.
And I think Pake and Doyle together would be superb moving forward. But what do we do with Iwata then when you've got Bright fit? Do you play him out of position there if he's playing as well as he is, and we are scoring these sort of goals, especially at home? I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be the one making the decisions.
I think Iwata's really impressed.
Iwata's been fantastic for me.
Technically, he's so good. And he's-
But that said, I think it was a slow start for both Pake and Iwata for the season, wasn't it?
yeah.
But they've certainly grown into the role again.
Well, we can go on to, and this one you might scoff at this question, but let's just catch up with the loan players a bit. I'm going to read them out to you. Do you think we've missed any of them? So you've obviously got Bailey Peacock Farrell, we know the answer's going to be there. Deion Sanderson, and you might scoff at this, but you look at how well he's doing for Derby. They're lauding him at the moment. He had a poor start, but he's doing well. Then you've also got the likes of Emil Hansen, and at one stage last year we thought that this guy could really be something, and he never really hit the ground running. He hasn't really had a decent start at Blackpool. He gets a few cameos here and there. I think he's started only 2 games, but in the last game against Cardiff he did get an assist. Tyler Roberts, I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think we're going to see him play for the club again. But one that I did want to bring to your attention, because I do feel like he's similar to Leonard in that he's a utility player. He
Yeah,
could be
I know what
anywhere.
you're going to say.
Taylor Gardner-Hickman.
Is he not gone permanent?
No, he's only on loan
Yeah,
at Blackburn,
He's
isn't he?
on loan, yeah.
I like him.
Strange one.
But if you remember at the start of the season, I did say that he was a utility player, and those are the type of players I think it's good to still have about.
Yeah.
Especially with what we've
For
struggled with
emergency
recently.
situations, you could have
Yeah.
stuck.
He'd have had
Taylor
a few
Gardner-Hickman
cameos this
anywhere.
season.
Well, you got to think as well, going back to that settled side type of thing, everyone knows his job in a squad. Taylor Gardner-Hickman. He's a utility man who can do a job like Jonathan Spector used to be.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
stick him up front, you could stick him centre half, right back, midfield.
And he would battle his ass off for you.
So when you look at, we've had to play Iwata right back, even though we've got right backs on the bench. Taylor Gardner-Hickman could have played right back, and people wouldn't in the squad wouldn't have batted an eyelid. If you're a right back and you've got a central midfielder who's been playing well in central midfield, move to your position, and there's 2 of you on the bench watching that happen. I think if they'd have been watching Taylor Gardner-Hickman play there would have been less sort of, hold on a minute, why am I not doing that job? They'd have been like, actually, he can play right back, he's decent there. For me, moving a central midfielder to right back, even if he's played there previously in past times, if I'm Samuel, whatever his name is, and
Brightside Samuel.
and Sampson, I'd have been looking at thinking, especially Sampson, am I getting I'm gonna get the game here.
Do you rate Samstead? Do you think he's still got
I've not
place?
seen enough of him. I've seen bits of him and I thought he looks half decent, but then
Yeah.
I've just not seen enough. It's like Kyogo, isn't it?
I
You
still
see
think
fits
he's
in
got place,
Spurs, but
Samstead.
he just don't get enough games, and it's like the loan. Do you know? It's not a loan one; it's one we sold. But I always used to think that Yokoyama was a bit of a tricky player,
Oh, I love
We,
and I just
we
feel like
said that.
over him and Hansen, I'd have been like, well, I'd have probably sold Hansen. I think both of them could be half decent, but it's just strange. Unless he just wanted first team football and saw that he was going to be limited, I don't know. But it's a
He
bit of a
wanted
weird
people to
one.
fit into his plan. He had a structure for the whole squad, didn't he? And Yokoyama was, as you said so many times, a wild card. He
Yeah.
didn't listen to the instructions that Chris Davis was giving him, and he didn't like that. That's what it was down to ultimately.
But he had that. He had those moments of brilliance, like we scored goals off his crosses, if you remember.
Oh, it's
he
excellent.
he
And
scored
that
a
Fulham
cracking
game
goal
as well.
Yeah.
I know it was against their under 21s more or less,
It's
but
still
it
quality
was-
though.
But he's
It's
like
very
he
yeah.
doesn't fit into the average structure of what. It's got to be that. I don't think it's because there's like issues with him. I think it's just that it's an instruction thing. It's just and
the
and
language
that's the
barrier.
level.
Can I-
There is a bit of that as
I'll
well.
bring up. I've got one more question, but before that, I did want to touch on someone else, a player that's been out for a while now, and you know, a lot of controversy surrounding him. Is he good enough? Is he not? Do you think Willemsen has still got a place in the squad?
Yeah. Yeah, I do, because he was starting to look really good in the Championship, and I always said Championship will suit him better. And I didn't even know he'd gone off injured, let alone a long-term injury like it's turned out to be.
We were the minority on that thought, though, weren't we? We said at the start of the year, and loads of people watching the games, they didn't think.
Well, he'd upped his game. He was using his head more. He was getting stuck in. He was actually getting stuck in a little bit too much because the way and I'm not going to go on about referees, but the way the refs were, any physical contact now. But that was what was lacking from. It was even lacking from his game last year, and the opportunities with his head, like to score and things like that. And he seemed to be bottling them.
Yeah.
But that was markedly different. Probably why he's got a bloody injury now. But
I think we need to see more of him, don't we, in the Championship to make a decision on Williamson.
Yeah, we haven't seen
him settled in that in the or in around the squad enough for us to go. Actually, after 20 games, yeah, I can't. He's done.
I'll tell you what, as soon as he's fit, he'll at least be on the bench. He'll at least be on the bench.
I think I've got a feeling they might have people lined up for January and a number 10. Well, you got Fujimoto.
I know.
So, but if they sign another number 10, then it might be that Williamson goes down the pecking order without even getting a chance.
You've segued perfectly onto the last question, and we'll finish off with this. Where and how do we improve come January? What do we need to do, do you think?
For me, we probably need a left back
Yeah, that's
as
critical.
cover more than anything. We need a striker, and I think one of them sort of, for me, a bit of a bigger, stronger, with a bit of pace striker. Not because we've got Kyogo and Sansfield, the similar type of players, aren't they? Dykes does it. He'll score a goal every 5 or 6, 10 games.
He'll probably finish that move to Hibernian.
I think he'll go. I think he'll go, and I know I personally won't massively miss him. I think we get if we can get a striker, a central midfielder, and like I was saying to you guys earlier before we started this, and I'm going to say it again so that the people listening can hear what I said. Imagine a Robbie Savage type in that team. You know, not necessarily an exact copy, but someone who's a bit cheeky, snaps into tackles. He was technically a good player. Got overlooked.
Yeah.
Wound their team up, wound their fans up, loved by the fans. Got our team going.
Got the crowd
that
going.
engine in the middle. Just a bit of a pacey midfielder who can nip about and just tidy up, and then let your Doyles and your Pakes actually do more of that attacking. Would you need the number 10, so to speak, because you've got two technically good players then sitting behind the strikers with the mopper-upper?
Well, you're talking about that,
Good
you're talking
point.
about his character. Now, I think that's someone that we've missed. Talking about off the pitch here, we've missed that sort of figure since Alfie May left the club, I think. That cheeky chappy, that character in the dressing room, someone you want.
Yeah.
That is a very good point.
Imagine that
actually.
type of Alfie May character. He is the cheeky chappy and he is loved by the squad and the fans, but in the middle of the park, doing that job, churning the ball out and then going, here, Pake,
That's a
here,
good
Doyle,
point.
right, you go and do your job, I'm just going to sit here. And anyone comes in, I'm just going to snap into a tackle, I'm going to put pressure on, I'm going to cover the back line. It's a big ask because you're probably talking 10, 15 million plus.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Ultimately, when they talk about war chests, you might have to go into that sort of market and go, okay, we've got record commercial sales. Let's do it. Let's get someone like that if you can find them.
If you're breaking the bank for something, it's either one or the other, isn't it?
Striker
Would you prefer that or a striker? What would you prefer to
I
break
think
the
it's
bank for?
tricky, isn't it? Because I think if the midfield did a better job, if we had that number 10-ish or that creativity in midfield, the strikers we've got should do the business. I think Kyogo Stansfield, especially, are good enough to do that job.
Yeah.
And Dutch, because he's proved to be a goal scorer in
I
Germany.
think, yeah, the front line for me is as it needs to be. We just need to start clicking. We need to, and we're starting to do it now. It was all about getting into those positions, wasn't it? Yeah, I know Kyogo had many opportunities to do it, and you can see he's getting in fantastic positions, and his work rate is immense. Stansfield's doing it for me, and even when he's not having the greatest games, he's still scoring. When he does find his feet for this season a little bit more and do a bit more of that closing down, which I'm not sure if he hasn't been told to actually relax off the amount of closing down that he did, or whether it's just starting to quieten down, naturally fitting into the team around him, I don't know. But I think more midfield about getting those opportunities into the box, which for me, we've started doing. Yeah, okay, we faltered against Middlesbrough a bit, but look at the opportunity against Portsmouth, Millwall, that we are starting to create now. We just need to build on that now. And if that means, for me, would be more about shoring that midfield and having that central hub, that creativity, that keeping possession, but meaningful possession, rather than just having it at the back, passing it around a bit and then not creating anything at the end of it, which we have done a little bit recently.
Right.
We are starting to overcome that a little bit now. So, yeah, I think we have got it, but yeah, for me, would be that midfield.
We saw it against Middlesbrough, didn't we? Where we made one change in midfield early in the game, and the midfield went missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we didn't have that wall in front of the defence, or that player in front of the defence who mopped up and kept that space tidy. We had Leonard and I think it was Doyle next to him.
Yeah,
I think
well, it allowed. They
They
were
were
too
just-
deep.
They were either too deep and the players were coming towards
Exactly,
or they
it
were
was
too
just
far forward.
offering them. It
massive
was like,
gap in behind.
come to us, and
It just didn't work, did it?
It was more like a thick back line than a back line and defence.
I think if you rely on, I think Leonard had a poor game, which meant Doyle had to we had to rely on Doyle doing more defensive work, and it just went out the window.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's where we struggled. But ultimately, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works a little bit because I'm looking at it now, and especially looking at that Middlesbrough game, and you've got to respect, you've got to understand how poor Pompey and Millwall were on there. Pompey were terrible. That's the worst side I've seen at this level for a long time. Probably worse than when we were up in this level before. They were awful. Millwall, I expected a lot more, and they weren't very good. And we rightfully dispatched both of them. But we now need to go to these games like your Middlesbrough's away and your Stokes away, where they're all right, they're not a bad side. But when they're not playing well like Middlesbrough were, we need to churn them results out, even if it's a draw away or a cheeky 1-0 win. Bristol City was another one. You know, we lost 1-0 to Bristol City, and realistically, we should have got something from that game. And we can't keep saying that and expecting them to. We win 2 games, everyone expects us to get the playoffs, and then we revert back to that normality almost, and we start losing and playing not so great. And then it's like, well, we need to get that consistency for starters, but the expectations need to change
Do
a
you
little
think we are improving? Like, you compare Bristol City away and Middlesbrough, I think that there was a big, although we did lose both games, I do think that we were improved in that Middlesbrough game.
Well, it's like the Leicester game as well, isn't it? Played really well against Leicester and lost, but we need to start turning them into at least a point.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
when we get to that stage, I'll say yes, we're improving. At the moment, I think we're doing what's expected. We're mid-table. We're doing all right. We're losing the odd game. We're winning the odd game. If we were doing any worse than that, I think we'd be doing less than what we'd expect. Because we're a promoted team with a record points, and we had a good side coming up. We didn't come up and sort of squeeze into the playoffs at the last minute and get promoted by a penalty shootout. We absolutely smashed the league.
You might have a real big point on expectations, because you look at Charlton, what would their expectations have been?
Stay
Just get
up.
into the Championship, stay up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wrexham
very
is exactly
just
the
get in
same. And
there.
look at Wrexham. Wrexham's like obviously the Hollywood type thing. But Wrexham are exactly that now. They're like, well, we just want to stay up here.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we've come from way down there, and to be here is a massive achievement. I know they've had money spent on it, but they ain't had money. It's not been like a Real Madrid type thing where they've spent hundreds of millions. They've been very cute, as we have commercially, and we need to just temper a little bit. I need to do this because we win 2 games, and I think we're going to win the league in my head. But my experience of being a Blues fan tells me that's not the case at all. We just need to temper it. And I think, if we finish in the top 10, but we've got plans. We've got people coming in for next season. We know that they're signing up, like Newman was, and we go, do you know what? That's a good player. Next season we'll go for it. I think this season, I already think this season is potentially, I don't want to say a write-off, but I think we just need to expect that we might finish whereabouts we are now.
I have to say, for his debut, he hasn't done bad, has he?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
I think we can close the video off there. Just any closing thoughts from yourself?
No, I just want to more of the same of like I say, right off the Middlesbrough thing, but more of the same, taking it to the teams like Russ is on about now. I think just to sort of say what pick up on what Russ said, I think we didn't allow Portsmouth to do as much. We didn't allow Millwall, and that's what we've got to do. And we have got to start doing that away as well.
Creating chances, we were so much better.
So more of the same, please, Blues.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, as always, let us know your thoughts on what has been discussed today over the international break. And if you've enjoyed watching, you enjoyed the little cameo from Russ, it's been a brilliant video. I hope you guys agree and have enjoyed this bit of ramble, all things Blues. Then let us know down in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Take care of yourselves, Blues fans. See you on the next one.